is the Maggie Guy Show.
Well, hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good day, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is. This is the Maggie Guy Show right here on the series, The Joys and the Woes of Singlehood. I am joined by Apostle Femi Lazarus and his wife in absentia. She's here. She's going to be here somewhere, maybe in the chat, okay? And tonight we are unpacking part 2 of dealing with a negative past. So what happens when the one you love, the one that you feel the Lord has led you to as a life partner, what do you do when they have a negative past? And for that, we have Apostle Femi. Most of you know him as a man of wisdom, great wisdom. And I'm so honored to have him on here. Sir, we're throwing it out to you, sir. Straight up, no wasting time. Sir, how does that sister, how does that brother navigate through a negative, when they're interested in someone who has a negative past? Because the truth of the matter, like we unpacked with your wife last week, not everybody was raised in a Christian home. Not everybody has been a believer of Christ since their childhood. And some people may have made some decisions in their, yesteryears that kind of made their past not so, nice. In your own words, sir, how would that individual navigate a negative past?
Thank you so much, woman of God, for first and foremost for the privilege to be on this platform. It's such an honor, and I want to appreciate what you do, the conviction in this platform, and the consistency. It's so amazing, right? So amazing what you do. All right.
Thank you.
So I want to first say this, that first, if you want someone, you have to be ready for the totality of them, which involves the totality of the individual, which includes all the baggages they are carrying. And it must be clear that some of these things, honestly, they are not a product of decisions they have made, but rather they are victim of decisions other people have made that is now affecting their own lives.
Yeah.
It is also possible that one also have made certain decisions in the past that has affected one's life, or maybe the partner to be. So it is not love if it is selective of the part you pick. All right? Love accepts totality.
Yes.
All right? You can't pick a part of it and then throw away the other part. You just have to be ready for all the. But let me streamline this to the area of relationship, right? There's a reason why a man is called a groom.
My God. Yes.
There's a reason why a man is called a groom. You are going to be trusted with a lot of potentials. That word, in fact, you are one who converts something from a raw or deformed state and bring out all the potentials in it. You groom it. Another word that describes a male spouse when marriage is consummated is the word husband. That also describes a farmer, one who is involved in cultivating.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you look at the case of David and Abigail, Abigail was a very wise woman in the hand of a dysfunctional man, in the hand of the Bible referred to Nabal as a fool.
Oh, yes, sir.
So I found out that there are when Abigail was with David, was with Nabal, her full potential was not coming out. But the moment Nabal died, David did not hesitate to bring her as a wife. Because sometimes good women ends up in the hands of foolish men who can cultivate them, and vice versa.
Right.
So, and when he came with David, he needed that wisdom. He saw the potential. He saw the things he had. He spotted those things. So
Yes.
now, let me share my own story, because I mean, this subject relates to me directly, right?
Wow.
And my wife, it relates to me directly. I couldn't love. I couldn't love. I was not heading towards marriage with anybody. I couldn't love properly. I had serious phobia for marriage.
Wow.
Right? And that's because I went through a very abusive process of development as a child. So I saw marriage as a prison. Before I got married, probably I only attended less than 5 weddings. I couldn't cope in any wedding feast. Yes, I couldn't cope. I was always shivering. I was shaking. I couldn't cope. I had to leave. I just couldn't. I saw anyone getting married as stupid or foolish. Now, why would you want to put yourself in? Because of the things I went through, right?
Yes.
But one day, one time, but I noticed that I could go through breakup and not feel it. Not because I was strong, but because I was wounded.
Okay.
Because my heart has been abused.
Yes.
All right. So one time, one of my friends called me on phone. And obviously, he had spent that morning praying for me and was tired. All my friends were giving up on me. But this day, he called me on phone and he was screaming and was shouting at me. And he kept saying a word. All those girls are not your stepmother. You were not created to be like this. You stop this nonsense. It goes no further. This ends today, right now.
Wow.
Now, when he said that statement, it was like something was taken away from me. And I felt freedom. There's no way I would have married my wife if that conversation had not taken place.
Wow.
Because I'd gone through painful past. I'd gone through pain. Any form of pain you can imagine. I've gone through. I don't want to talk about the stories because I went through very serious issues. Right. But God, I saw that God brought me out. But you see, but it also helped me to know that the fella I'll be getting married to will be someone who has also gone through life. Maybe not the same thing, but try to measure.
Yeah.
So life happens to all of us.
Yes.
Nobody is born an angel.
Right.
The devil tries to attack every plant from their seed state.
Yes.
And he attacks our beginning, our formative stage. All right. So when you have a spouse like that, you have to see beyond the situation and the baggage of their experience and see really what God has planted in them and how you can really cultivate it with them. And you have to walk the journey with that spouse. That's how to really be in love.
You know what, sir? Do you know this also is like borderline what we talked about when we said dealing even with a traumatic childhood. So the childhood has had a part to play even in, making in that negative past. That's just amazing. So there's a need for that wholeness for an individual. And I love what you said at the beginning when you said love is not selective.
No, it's
if
not.
You're loving this individual, then you love them with all that they're coming in with.
Yes.
So it cannot be selective. You can't say, well, I'll only love you if this and that is okay about your past. And like you said, the truth of the matter is not everybody will have a squeaky clean past. There are people who have gone through things, and others are even victims like you are, sir. Victims of things that happen to them that is negative, and it's really affected how they function.
Yes. You know what I found, woman of God? You know what I
Yes,
found?
sir.
I found out that our curriculum for training people who are about to get married, they are quite
Yes.
defective. They are not complete.
Right.
People say things because they don't know what it feels for others to be in certain shoes. Sometimes you hear things like, before you marry a girl, go check her mother. That's exactly what she's going to be like. Is she a mother?
Absolutely not.
Is she the one who has made the decisions the mother has made?
Absolutely not.
They say go to her house, go and check out the parents are living. There are good people from broken homes.
That's it. Yes,
There are
sir.
fantastic people from dysfunctional backgrounds that they don't look like where they are coming from.
Yes.
And sometimes we say these things out of insensitivity, and because many people they don't know what it means to come out from those places and fight through life to become someone who is free from those pain, the trauma, and everything. There are people who are getting married, and the parents are so disunited. They are so disconnected that they will never sit together as husband and wife, even for the wedding of their own child. And yet it is not the fault of the child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So these are the situations. And I've read through many of our relationship books and all that. And I just said, you know what? It's high time we start having people who are experienced writing some of these things. All right? Because people are practically finding themselves in situations that sincerely they are just victims of decisions they didn't make. But also there's a way to come out, because you see, you can't sit down in self-pity.
Yes.
You can't sit down mourning about that past that you didn't create.
Yes.
You've got to get up and tell yourself decisively that if you can do nothing about the past, you can make a lot of good decisions that will affect and influence the future.
Yeah.
You know, and that one has to be certain. You know, by the grace of God today, I enjoy a kind of peace that is only heavenly with my wife, such that I never saw while growing up.
Yes.
So, I mean, we are product of nature and nurture. A lot of things can happen as God will mold us. You know, people should avoid the stigma of the past they didn't create. Yes.
And I think, sir, in all fairness, just like what you've said, the stigma, and I want to say, I find that it's very much so within our African culture. It's more there. However, it is also in these parts of the world. Like, you know, when you look at white people, you know, whether it's in America or in England and that sort of thing, there's still that stigma of a past. But I think in Africa, it's worse. It's worse. And it's almost like you said, the individual has to carry that burden, even though they're not responsible. They were not the ones that actually made the choices. Those choices were made for them.
Let me share this with you, right? I used to mentor a young lady. One day I was holding meetings with them online, and the Lord spoke to me that there's someone on this platform who is currently in the house of a guy she's not married to, and she should go back to her house that night. And she chatted me up and said, I'm the one, pastor, and I'm so sorry. But when we started talking, I found out that the father and the mother got pregnant while she was in secondary school. And they made the mistake, and then someone told the mother to abort the child, but she said no. Right? She tried to, but it wasn't going. And she had no choice than to keep the child. When the mother gave birth to the girl, she dropped the girl with the grandmother and left and went about her own life. The father also grew up, went about his own life. The mother is remarried, have her own family. The father is remarried, have his own family. So you see, when you are going to deal with case of a girl like this, you are not really going to deal with immorality. Yes, someone and has found herself in situations that is not common. God has not designed for anyone to go through this. God did not design. And when you want to deal with matters like this, you need to have empathy. You need to understand first what it feels to be in the shoe of a young lady who, after school and during holidays, have nowhere else to go to. Nowhere to call home. They are very serious issues. So sometimes we try to put the fish and the cat in the same track to run the same race. And it doesn't work that way. We're going to destroy people with this method. We're going to torment them. And it doesn't work that way. As I'm talking as someone who knows what it means to have come from very painful situations and come through all those things. I mean, some of our structures are not deep enough to handle people like this. You know.
Wow. You know, this is an amazing angle that you've brought in, sir, because, you know, many when we say a negative past, I think everyone thinks along the lines of, oh, maybe they were a drug addict, maybe they abused drugs, or maybe they've been in jail, maybe they, you know, I don't know, just something really negative. But you find that circumstances like where people just their life, their formative years can really give them a negative start to life. And so you find that even the way they function, you find the way that they behave is as a product, like you said, we are a product of nature and nurture.
Yeah. I've spent quite some quality time with people. I've gone to prison, talked to those who are in prison. I've talked to drug addicts. I had an outreach for prostitutes. I've sat down in their rooms, talked to them, got them filled with the Holy Ghost. And what I found is that there are many people who are condemning these guys, that if they are in the same situation, they will have the same experience. I think one of the things we've got to agree on is that no one starts life trying to become bad.
Yes, sir.
You know, I myself, you know, at some point I had to leave my father's house growing up as a child. I had to be thrown out of the house because I was being maltreated. I had to go stay with someone. And so on and so forth. And at some point I started going to parties. Not because I wanted to, but because I just wanted to be happy. And at those parties, I will meet people who are smoking and they will pass the same thing to me. But for some level of fear of God, maybe just some level of some things, you say, well, I can't, but if I'd stayed there longer, I would have. I would have. You know, so sometimes it's the situation people have found themselves in.
Wow. You know, the home, sir, you know, the home is, oh my God, it's supposed to be the safe haven for children. And I remember one of my guests that I had, a guest that I had back in February or about March, Greatness, and she was maltreated as a young lady at home. And sadly, it was by her own dad, who just really looked for every opportunity to, you know, physical abuse, really just beat her consistently, to a point where she had decided her ultimate goal in life was to join a gang, a cult, and become a hired assassin, because she felt she needed to be feared. She needed to establish herself.
Do you know, I went through this same process, and at some point in my life, went to meet a friend who has his father as a police officer, and were able to get to the barrack like with some people, and I got an AK-47 in our house.
What?
And I decided that I had the gun in the house for about 2 weeks. I wrapped the gun in a mat and I placed the gun in a store because I decided I was going to kill myself, but before then I was going to kill everybody because I'd gone through level of pain. I feel I didn't understand what I was going through, and I felt we all need to just go. But thank God. But the reason I'm sharing this is because anyone who has been exposed to abuse can become irrational. And it's a very serious matter. You know.
Wow. Wow. Sir, don't you think that I think we now need to have parenting classes, especially within our African homes, because I really believe like there's a level of how do I put it now? The idea of being a parent, I think it's totally misunderstood within the African home. I really believe that.
You know, the thing is that most of those who are now parenting wrongly also went through some of these painful parts.
Yes.
And they seem to forget in a hurry.
Yeah.
That's the issue. They seem to forget in a hurry. But I'm currently writing a book that will be released this year for the child that is coming from a dysfunctional home, specifically for that purpose. It's strictly for that child, and then for anyone who is parenting such a child. So it's already done. The book is done. We're just perfecting the whole thing. So it's done already.
I am so looking forward to that, sir. I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And even your other book that you allowed us to read a snippet of it.
Did it bless you?
Yeah, amazing.
Wow.
Can't wait, you know, to have my own copy by the grace of God. This is just going to be amazing. Matter of fact, we're going to get you to come back so that we can talk about that book. But first, I want to read the entire book. But yeah, I can't wait for your content on that front, sir, because I really feel like as Africans, and sir, you'll be surprised, even out here in these parts of the world, like I said, for the benefit of those of you that are tuning in, this is the Maggie Murgai Show in London. But we find that even African parents in these parts of the world, whether it's, you know, the UK, Europe, America, they have brought that mindset. There's a certain way they raise their children, and it's not helping. Now, I'm not saying the Western way is right. Get me right, guys. Those of you that are following, I'm by no means saying that the Westernized way of raising children is right. What I'm trying to say is the right way is God's way, the biblical way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Raising a godly seed. There's a right way to raise a godly seed. And it's so amazing that I didn't know this about you. I mean, fair enough, sir. Like when you have ministered and I listen to you preach, you do make reference to the fact that, you know, your parents divorced while you were young and you had to live with your dad. But I didn't even know it was at this level of, you know, abuse, the negative past that would have ruined the gift of God, the calling of God in your life because of where you're coming from.
Yeah. You know, sometimes when I lead people, and the truth is that there are the side effects of these things. And sometimes I make mistakes in leading people. And I just tell them that I hope you know that God is building both the pulpit and the pew.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
That we are also recovering from certain things.
Yes.
You know, here's what I think. The African system is a system that if you go through that system entirely, it will rob you of the capacity to become mighty.
Right.
Children are
Yeah.
flogged, their esteem taken from them. In school, you tell a girl to lie down, you flog her, the esteem is taken from her.
Yes.
Doesn't feel she's anything important. The system does not empower you to think. You have to take everything without questioning. There's no critical reasoning, no analytical reasoning.
Right.
The system only produces zombies until we start producing after the order of scriptures.
Right.
Keep having it. And well, the Western world is not any better because on the other hand, also it's too liberal and also produce. And but I think the Western world, they also have a fair share of some of this thing. There's this program I watch, Paternity Court. I watch that program. I see a lot of issues and all that. So I think the whole world is in a state of confusion. And the only remedy is the word. This is the time that the mountain of the house of the Lord should be exalted above all hills. There's no better time for this to be done than now. And thank God for what you are doing.
Amen.
All right. Thank God for what God is doing. People like that's why you see that most times, even with my busy schedule, I just want to come online, just drop a comment. And whenever I come online, I see that the program is on. I quickly want to share on my Facebook page, until my page was hacked,
Yes.
So I really bless God with this because healing is flowing to nations through what God is using you for.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, sir. So guys, listen, you're following the show. You have a question for Apostle Femi. This is your moment. Go ahead and pop it in the comment section. I will pick it up. We'll read it out loud for the man of God, and then we can go ahead and get an answer to your question. Please ask something within what we are discussing, just so that, we don't go off on a tangent, okay? Let me ask this, sir. Is there ever, like when we deal with a negative past of the nature, in this year alone, we've had such bad, horrifying news about women who have died in the hands of their husbands or their partners, okay? Now, at what point, because we're as children of God, I want to believe we of all people should be able to extend mercy in the sense that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. At what point now, for example, that man that was a former wife beater, that one that maybe was abused alcohol and it would trigger a certain abusive behavior. Now, I have to ask, at what point do we then say, okay, it's the past, and now we can, reinstate them? Because like I said, we're not looking to throw away anybody. How would you show mercy and bring that person back? I mean, after all, even the Bible talks about, if one is sinning, warn them and then bring them back into the sheepfold.
It's a very serious question. It's a very serious question. Well, now you are asking this in context as regards to marriage?
Yes. Yeah. So that individual, let's say, obviously they've separated. Okay, well, in this case where their wives some of them, their wives died. So that man may look to remarry, or even that woman, because let's not just say it's the men who abuse, because the truth of the matter, we do have women who are husband abusers. So on either side, when a man or that woman who was a former abuser, we say former, we want to believe they're truly a former abuser, and they were looking to get married, how would that individual that is maybe involved with them, because I know you said earlier, love is not selective. You've got to take the individual with as they are with their past. So I'm just wondering how you feel, how you could advise one to navigate those kind of sensitive situations.
Thank you so much. So, I pastor people, both the married and the unmarried, and
Yes.
I've seen quite a couple of things over the years. This is my 13th year of leading people directly, and I've seen quite a number of things. I once dealt with a case where a woman observed that after an argument with her husband, she saw that he was lying down. When he rolled that night, she saw there was a knife with him. So I advised her to run first, survive. It is the one who is alive that can now talk about the issue. Survive first.
Yes.
All right. So in the case of a partner that has a vice or something that has now given the fellow abusive tendencies or abusive nature against the spouse, to the point of the physical violence, domestic violence against the spouse and all that.
Yes.
First, you have to be sure that this fellow has really changed.
Yes.
Then you need to know that this is a real matter, because you don't want to be the one who will advise someone who has not changed. You want to advise the girl to go back, and the guy has not changed, and he end up killing her.
That's right.
This is a very real matter. First, you have to be sure that the fellow has really repented.
Yes.
All right. And first, we have to understand that rehabilitation is scriptural.
Yes.
God gave medical knowledge for a reason. There are people who really need to go through rehabilitation, because the issue of addiction to alcohol and all that is a mental illness also, not just demonic as we have painted it.
Yes.
All right. So first, it has to be ascertained that the fellow can now be trusted with the life of the partner. It has to be clear. It has to be clear. Then second, there's something else we cannot force, and that is the willingness of that partner to take that person back. All right. That cannot be forced, because marriage is a very personal journey.
Yes.
It cannot be forced. All right. And sometimes people have stayed with those that killed them because of the way we have stigmatized those who have gone through divorce.
Yes.
A woman of God said the law of life is greater than law of marriage. And I think it is true. It is the one who is alive that can be married. All right.
Sure.
So life first. Life first. And I'm saying this from the standpoint of one who is dealing with real matters. Life first. We have to be sure. Then we have to be sure that this spouse now is ready to take this person back. All right. We have to be sure too. No pastor wants to put himself in a case where the woman or the man will say, I would not have married this person, you forced us. So the third thing is that, are they both willing to come back together? Then what about the timing? Do they have to go separate ways for a while, and then they can learn to value each other, then come back together? And all that. Those are the things to really consider,
Yes. Fantastic. Yeah, because when I had the show where we had a man of God, a prophet, and we talked about how some of these questions, as you may remember, sir, we had your wife, Pastor Mimi, open us up on this series, and she opened us up with the waiting room, and she highlighted how some of these ladies or even brothers go from one prophet to another with a list of names, saying, out of this, who should I marry? And and we had a prophet.
That's Africa. I'm telling you, that's Africa for you. I mean, I've seen it.
Right. And you know what, the prophet that we had, bless him, Prophet Mo, and his wife that we had on, I think it was the week before last, and he said one of the things that people would need to understand is it's their choice in the place of choosing to be with that individual. It's not. Yes. And like you said, you want to be very careful as a man of God not to say to someone, oh, well, you should get back, only for things to go wrong, and then the blame is now on you.
Yeah. Yes. You know, the
Yes.
thing is, it takes a false member to have a false prophet.
Yes.
It takes a false
Yeah.
believer to be a false prophet. So the people don't want to pray and take the responsibility of seeking God's face. They'd rather dump it on it. How dumb can we go than to take
Yes.
least to a prophet who doesn't even know the people, don't know their character, don't know
Yep.
anything,
Yep.
and just select someone who is not even asking God, because God won't answer such a question. There's no
Yep.
right answer for a wrong question.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and then
I love
now
that.
say this is the person, and then they still go ahead. I mean, I feel it's quite dumb. I think everyone should learn to seek God for themselves, and pastors should not play God in people's life.
Yeah.
If you want to last, I've advised pastors that if you want to last, don't play God in anybody's life. Allow people make decisions and guide them. You can't play God in people's life. You can guide them,
Yeah.
you can lead them, you can
Yes.
be there to teach them, but allow
Yes.
them make their decisions, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Absolutely. We have one more question, sir, before we let you go, sir. How do you help someone who is already in marriage with a partner who has not dealt with their past? How would you help that individual?
All right. So it's a very serious one. First, for one who is married to such a partner, because the effects of that past will keep haunting the marriage.
Yes.
Particularly some people have not forgiven themselves on things that God has forgiven them about. And failure to forgive yourself is not the issue of unforgiveness, it's the issue of pride. Because you feel, first, the fellow feels too big to make the mistake.
Okay.
You see, so, but when you are in a marriage with someone who has not dealt with their past, first, you need to ascertain that your spouse is willing to be helped. That fellow has to be willing to be helped.
Right.
All
Right.
That's where everything starts from.
Yes.
All right. If a man is married to a woman who has not dealt with the past, he wallows in the pain and the regret and all those things. The question is, are you willing to come out? All right. Then another question is, as a spouse, do I have what it takes to help you? If I don't have what it takes to help you, do I know someone who has what it takes to help us?
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
So are we willing to commit ourselves to it? All right. Because to the problem, there's a solution. Are we willing to commit ourselves to it and be helped? All right. A problem shared, they said, is half solved. But I would think a problem shared with the right people, you know. So I think first that's it, to be willing to be helped, then to also know how to reach out for the help from people who will really extend it. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank God for that. Oh wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Apostle Femi. I don't know if I've missed your question. Just quickly indicate. If not, we're letting the man of God go. We're not going to keep him here too long because, like you heard, he's been out on ministry as early as 6 o'clock in the morning. People of God, we do not want to stress the man of God beyond just what he's just shared with us. So if there are no more questions, I'm gonna just thank the man of God and get you all to say a big thank you and let the man of God get a shower, get a nice meal, and maybe talk to his daughter. No, actually, you're gonna have to talk to baby Abigail. Explain yourself, where you've been all day.
She's waiting for me to finish. She's right here looking at me, waiting for me to finish.
She's waiting. Yep. You've got to explain yourself, where you've been all day, because she's been waiting.
I'm telling you.
So please, so guys, if that's it, we're gonna say a big thank you to Apostle Femi. We're thanking Pastor Miracle, who was with us last week, Saturday, opened us up amazingly well on this particular topic, dealing with a negative past. Catch that show over on my YouTube channel. Link will be in the bio, people of God. And so with that said, we want to say a big thank you to the Lazaruses. And God bless you, sir. Thank you for being here. It's such an honor. And thank you. God bless you, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you, woman of God. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.